Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Incision podcast. I know it's a little late than usual, but we thought we'd give you a second. Enjoy the Reds in the FA Cup, progressing to the semi-finals. We thought we'll give you a moment for everything. And we are back and we want to share our thoughts and we want to reflect on the Champions League draw and, in particular, Liverpool's upcoming fixture against Benfica. And joining me on this podcast, he doesn't need an introduction. He really, really doesn't. And you know what? I love working with this guy. And, I think you guys love hearing from him as well. So it's a win-win. It's Mr. Themis Casares. Welcome back to the show.
It's nice to be back. Hi, how are you?
Oh, you sound so crisp clear on the pod. Themis. Well. Champions League draw. We're always excited about this. And, I think a lot of Liverpool fans are quite happy how this kind of worked out for us. So I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, we've seen the Champions League draw, Liverpool, Benfica, Villarreal versus Bayern Munich, City versus Atletico Madrid, and of course, Real Madrid take on Chelsea. So there you go. And we also know who could potentially be playing in the semi-final as well. It could be, should Liverpool progress, it would be on the side of Villarreal or Bayern Munich. So yes, Themis, talk to me. First of all, who were you dreading? And we shouldn't really say who were we dreading because you've got to play everyone and you shouldn't really fear anyone. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with how things panned out for Liverpool in that draw?
Well, we have to say 10, I think. I mean, there's no such thing as an easy draw or an easy opponent when you're talking about the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But you can scale things and rate things. And I was having lunch Friday after the draw, and I told my wife we got Benfica and then we get maybe Bayern if we go through. And she said, "That's wonderful. We don't have to play any English teams." And I said, first of all, wow. I mean, your football.
She's a keeper, by the way. I love your wishes. I'm just going on there and saying that live.
Yeah. I mean, wow. How did you came up with that? And she said, why? Am I wrong? I said, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. But I'm amazed that you said that. Anyway, well, I have to be honest here. For a moment, I thought that we were destined to play City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of people were.
Yeah, because in a way, things tend to replicate themselves. And we all remember what happened 11 years ago when Barcelona played Real Madrid 4 times in 12 days, I think, something like that, because they played in the Champions League semi-final. They had the league game to play and the Copa del Rey final. And, for many football fans at that time, Real and Barcelona were the center of the football world. You got Messi, you got Ronaldo, you got Guardiola, you got Mourinho, you got everything in that fixture. In a way, with what Liverpool are doing in order to propose some fierce competition to City and what Guardiola is doing there, in a way, Liverpool and City may be right now the center of the football world. And I thought that, with the title race heating up, with that league game waiting, at the Etihad, maybe we're destined to face them and play versus them 3 times in a week. And it's a great draw for Liverpool. It's not easy. It's not something we should go out and celebrate about. We still have to win. You still have to put your best game on the field. But, okay, Benfica is not like the other teams. And playing Bayern in the semi-final, okay, I prefer that to an all-English semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to my nephew about this, and we were just talking about, Liverpool actually got the easier side, and I say that in air quotes. And he goes, the only downside is, and he goes, should we progress and make it? Look at us counting our chickens before they hatch. Should we make the semi-final? We're going to have to play the away leg second. And he goes that, but you can't have it all, so, and I turned around and I stopped for a moment and I thought, well, I think Liverpool are kind of okay with handling that pressure because again, I got to that Man City quarter final, a few seasons ago, and the away leg was the second leg in that quarter final. And if potentially we have to, I mean, we're just assuming, should Liverpool make that semi-final and it is Bayern Munich that we're playing, well, let's not forget, in the knockout rounds, we actually had to beat Bayern Munich at their ground to progress through. And, and this Bayern side are, to me, looking a little weak as well. Defensively, they do look a bit questionable. I mean, they're not the force that maybe won it under Hansi Flick a couple of seasons ago. That there are vulnerabilities and they won't like to play us. But obviously, again, I'm jumping the gun here. Yeah. We do play Benfica, and of course, I think it's quite interesting this time around because Themis, we have been kind of drawn on the side of where there are potentially two darling teams in Benfica and Villarreal. In terms of what Villarreal did to Juventus, by the way, again, shocked again. So, talk to me about Benfica, because I think, people are always looking for like a hipster team of some kind. And, and I know obviously they played Ajax, and I didn't watch the full game naturally, but I went back to watch the highlights, and as deserving as they were, to me, I mean, I'm going to do an in-depth Benfica watch with a Liverpool supporter / Benfica supporter, part 2 of Euro Incision for this. But for me, I thought Ajax were quite wasteful.
Yeah, they weren't clinical enough. That's the story with Ajax whenever they get knocked out. I mean, when they're scoring the chances, they are able to do what they did to Real Madrid 3 seasons ago, before they lost to Tottenham in that memorable semi-final second leg. That's the problem with Ajax. They almost always play magnificent football, but they get knocked out in a way they did by Benfica. Well, Benfica is having a weird season. It's almost like they're switching roles with Porto. For the last 20 years, my feeling is that the Benfica were the dominant force in the league inside the country, but Porto was the team that was making their name playing in Europe. And that's what I had in mind whenever I talked about those two Portuguese giants, because you had Porto winning back-to-back European titles, like they did in 2003 and 2004, first the UEFA Cup and then the Champions League with Mourinho at the helm. And you looked at the table and you saw Benfica won the league. Benfica won the league because these look like Juventus and Milan in Italy, where Juventus has won that many league titles, but Milan have the European Cup triumphs, whereas Juventus has never managed to reach that height outside of Italy. This year it seems like they switched roles because Benfica are not doing well in the Champions, in the league.
They're third, aren't they, currently?
Yeah, they're third. They are 12 points behind Porto. They are not facing any real trouble to securing that third place, which leads to the Champions League next season. But if you finish third, you have to play a playoff round, a qualification round, in order to advance to the group stage of the Champions League. And they are 6 points behind Sporting in order to maybe they have to fight and give their all in order to finish second. But they're having a great season in the Champions League. And I have to say, I looked at some stats, out of the 8 teams in the quarterfinals, only Benfica has a negative goal difference. And only Benfica has a negative expected goals difference. I mean, I'm not trying to take credit away from them. They have been marvelous so far. But it seems like they've squeezed their way through to the quarterfinals. I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. I'm just saying it's hard to say that, they are one of the 8 best teams in Europe right now. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. But they managed to go through. They had a great group stage when they only lost 2 games to Bayern Munich, which were a team too much for them. Yep. But they beat Barcelona in their home ground, and they managed to get a valuable away draw at Camp Nou in order to go through. And then, as you said, Ajax were wasteful. They defended the best way they could. They managed to score away from home, and they got it. They are here, credit to them, but they don't feel like a proper quarterfinals team, if I may say.
No. That was actually my next point. I was going to ask you. Obviously, listeners and myself, we all know that this is like your competition, if you will. You've covered a lot of Champions Leagues. You've been to a lot of finals. I know it's a family tradition. We know how much this competition means to you. So in terms of teams we're speaking about teams not doing great in the league and the quarterfinals. I mean, I'm looking at Villarreal right now in La Liga, and they're currently 7th. With 45 points, like literally 9 points off top 4. There's a lot going on there, and that's what I wanted to ask you next, actually. So you kind of beat me to the punch. Do you think this helps the Champions League? Because obviously it is nice to see these teams do well and progress. I mean, I want to know where you sit on this. Like, I remember that season we had the likes of was it Deportivo La Coruña, Monaco, and Porto, 2004? Yeah, and actually, you know what? They actually played out their skins, to be fair. Let's just call it how it is. But where do you sit in all this? I mean, do you think it kind of dilutes the competition, or do you think it's kind of favourable? I mean, I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Well, it depends on the way they do it. I mean, you mentioned Deportivo there. And I think it's one of the teams that they are bound to remember by anyone who saw them play.
They smashed everyone.
Even though they didn't win anything, even though they didn't reach the final. I mean, who can forget what they did to the mighty AC Milan in order
and Juventus, the knockout time before that.
Yeah. I mean,
phenomenal.
It's the way to do it. I mean, I remember Schalke playing a semi-final in the Champions League. Maybe it was 2010, something like that. They reached the semi-final, and they were totally an uninspiring team that everybody wanted to see them getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Right now, if you're watching Villarreal or Lyon or Ajax knock out Juventus, knock out Real Madrid, you're happy about them. I mean, especially if it's happening to Juventus, because they are the team that has been advocating for the European Super League for so long, and talking about football legacy and football heritage, and seeing Ajax as a smaller club to them. I mean, that's blasphemy. That's insult to European football. And I'm so happy to see them getting knocked out in the first knockout stage for 4 years in a row. I mean, that's wonderful to watch. And if it's Villarreal who do it, a city of 55 permanent residents with so much tradition and love about football and the yellow submarine and all that, I mean, what's not to like? What's not to like when you see that? And Benfica is in a way, a different team because they have won the European Cup twice, and they had done it in back-to-back season. But since then, I'm sure you have heard, they have the Bella Goodman curse because they fired the manager that won those 2 European Cups. And when he was fired, he cursed them. They will never do anything like that in Europe ever again. And that is the Bella Goodman curse because since then they have lost every European final they have played. And they are cursed by their famous manager because they were too arrogant to fire the manager that had just won 2 European Cups back to back. Overall, there is a change because we have been used to see Porto play in the first knockout stage, or maybe advance in the quarterfinals as well. Not Benfica, but they rode their luck this season. And in spite of the fact that they're not doing that well in the league, they might feel they have a chance because the results versus Liverpool are not that bad. They have knocked us out in 2006.
Oh, I remember that.
Liverpool at the time were in the middle of the transition, I think, because we won the Champions League.
Was it Simeone that tortured me? Was it Simeone?
Yeah, Simeone and Mikoli, and we had the Greek legend Karagounis came on as a substitute. He was playing for Benfica back then. Came in as a substitute in both games. Then we knocked them out in the Europa League. Funny enough, we had a Greek playing in that side too, because we had Sotos Kyriakos starting as a centre back for Liverpool in that Europa League tie in Rafa Benitez's last season, before we were knocked out by Atletico, right, in the semi-final, in the Europa League semi-final.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's nice to see Villarreal and Benfica reaching at least the quarterfinals. Not always, and that I'm thinking that almost every season that is the case. Almost every season you find one, maybe 2 teams that in the beginning of the season you didn't think that they're gonna make the final 8.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully, the past history doesn't plague too much for Liverpool. Themis, just a quick one on this one. Obviously Benfica, you kind of went over some stats there, negative, like they concede a lot, negative in terms of goal scoring as well. I'm assuming maybe a lot of their threat would be potentially set pieces. So would you say that's fair?
Well, I could say that they have a young striker,
yes,
a young up-and-coming striker from Uruguay, Nunez, who has scored the away goal that sent them through, and he's having a breakout season. He's only 22, and they almost always play with 2 strikers up front, whereas it's a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. They have an aging defense because we're going to see some familiar faces when they play us, because they usually start with Vertonghen and Otamendi in the center of the defense, and they're both 34 years old, and we know them too well from their years in the Premier League. They have another Brazilian as a defender, but he's only 20 years old. He's kind of inexperienced right now, so I'm guessing the 2 veterans will start with their aging legs. Good luck with that. And I think I should say that, I should mention that they have a winger that is named Everton. I don't know.
Exotic names.
I don't know what you make of that, but I had to say that as an info trivia. Yeah, their left winger is called Everton. He's a Brazilian, and that's what I have to say about that.
Yep, I think there'll be an awkward silence in Tumbleweed, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans will probably be smiling. Like, yep, we like that name. We'll take, we'll take that all day. Okay, Themis. Obviously, those listening, we have a Discord community. So I kind of went in there and I just said, hey, I'm doing a couple of pods, it's international break. Why not, So Themis, I have a question here for you. It's from Steve W.
Yeah.
And he goes, definitely need to draw the parallels from the 1981, of course, when the Reds won it, Paris final, Real Madrid as a potential final opponent, and Bayern Munich, a potential semi-final opponent.
Well, I don't know about that. I would like to visit Paris again, for sure. I have a trip already planned out to go to Paris, driving actually. Yeah, but I was too young back then. But we all remember the way we won that final, and I always had fun when I talked about with my friends about the biggest European clubs and stuff like that, and they always mention Real Madrid, and I always used to say, you know what, they still haven't scored a goal versus Liverpool. That was before we played them in that horrendous group stage under Rodgers. But before that, they have never scored a goal versus Liverpool because they lost the European Cup final 1-0, and then we played them in the quarterfinals, and we won at Madrid 1-0, and then we thrashed them 4-0 at Anfield. And I said, they are a great club, but don't you think they have to score at least one goal versus Liverpool? And I was so laughing about that. Well, it would be nice to visit Paris again, and all those songs about winning in Paris and winning in Wembley and all that stuff. It would be nice, and I'm thinking a lot of fans would definitely make the trip. Right? I mean, they managed to go through the Europe to reach Istanbul. I mean, Paris would be a walk in the park for them.
Yeah, they made it to Kiev, didn't they? That was not easy. I know Gags and Co did it, and my gosh, what a journey they embarked on to get there.
Yeah, I mean, but it's part of the joy of being a football fan and watching your team reach a cup final. I mean, the plans and the preparation and the struggle maybe in order to reach a certain city and the country and all that stuff, that's part of the joy. I mean, it makes us all feel like teenagers again, having a first summer away from without the parents, something like that. Yeah. It would be great. It would be great to get past Benfica, step one, then face Bayern Munich and exploit the fact that no matter how great they are when they have the ball, they don't have the defensive organization that Liverpool do. And you know what? They didn't have it when they won it. They didn't even have it back then. I mean, the final was over and they won it 1-0, and man of the match was their goalkeeper, Neuer. Why was that? Why was their goalkeeper man of the match in the Champions League final? Because at the end of the day, Paris Saint-Germain was the team that had the better chances. And Neuer said no, credit to him for being an amazing goalkeeper, and credit to Bayern Munich for having him. But even when they won it, they never looked like a team that could combine the attacking force they have with so many players joining the attack. But when you do that, you're bound to have some problems when your attack is finished and the opponent has the ball. They lack that defensive organization behind the ball in order to reduce the threat from counterattacks and quick transitions.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Salzburg, if that first half in the first leg, really came at them, and then they just got sucked in deeper and deeper and deeper and just started defending and kind of, essentially just shot themselves in their foot. They were definitely there, and you definitely saw vulnerabilities within there, and and I have to agree with you. I mean, defensively they don't look all that great, so it will be really interesting. Themis, Liverpool, Benfica. Do you expect Liverpool to progress?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm guessing
I would be devastated if we don't. I mean, I have to be honest here. Yeah.
And on this side as well, Bayern Munich, Villarreal.
Well,
I think Bayern Munich.
Well, I think Bayern will go through. I think we have another rematch with Jurgen Klopp facing his biggest enemy in the Bundesliga, because they are the biggest enemy, and he is the manager they admire the most. We all know that. We all know that they wanted him at some point. We all know that he will never forget and will never forgive the fact that they took Lewandowski and took Goetze out of his Dortmund side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that will never happen in any other league, only in Bundesliga. The biggest club in the country can go to the fiercest enemy, say, okay, we're going to take your best player and then we're going to take your best talent. And they keep doing that. And they did it to Leipzig as well. They went in the summer and said, okay, you have a great squad and we're going to buy your captain and going to have your manager as well. I mean, no other league in the world, in any sport, you cannot see that happening. And it's business as usual. If something like that happened in England or in Spain or in, I don't know, there would be riots. Remember when Real Madrid got Figo from Barcelona?
Gosh, yes.
I mean, I'm not saying it cannot happen. All I'm saying is that if it happens, it's massive news.
It is. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and in Bundesliga, it's business as usual. They're Bayern Munich. They're called Hollywood FC for a reason, and they have that luxury that no other team in Europe has. That luxury. I mean, they all talk about how Bayern Munich is a proper football club, managed in the best possible way, with no debts, financial stability, 51% of the stakes are owned by the fans and all that stuff. And I'm all for it because it's all true.
Yeah.
But they never had to do anything different because they never have to deal with Abramovich, with Abu Dhabi, with Saudi Arabia, with Qatar, with Barcelona taking loans, with Real Madrid. No, they are the absolute powerhouse in their own league, and they're using their league as the biggest weapon because they can buy anybody they want, and they can do it while they set the prices. They set the price. They say, okay, we're going to buy the captain of Leipzig. How much? Yeah. Is 35 million enough? There's no competition. They are the only bidders. And they can do whatever they want to do. So, yeah, when we talk them up and say how wonderful this club is being run, we're saying the truth. But the whole truth is no other team in Europe has the luxury to do what they're doing year in, year out. And that's why they're dominating the league. And even if they lose the league twice in a row, what Dortmund did with Klopp was amazing. I mean, to beat Bayern Munich once, yeah, maybe you're lucky. To beat them twice in a row, to make them think, to make them struggle, to make them work and find solutions. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. Honestly, I don't know which team, when they're going to be able to win the league from Bayern Munich and then retain it. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. They have that luxury.
Which is what makes the Jurgen Klopp achievement with Borussia Dortmund all more special. To awaken that sleeping giant.
I mean, when we had people talking about Jurgen Klopp losing finals and producing the football, but not titles. I remember that Jose Mourinho quote that said that those philosophers of the game, and he was talking about Klopp, saying that, all they do is talk and play attractive football, but they never win anything. And I said to myself, my God, try and win the league from Bayern Munich. Try and do that. And then do it again next season. With no financial power compared to what Bayern Munich have in their hands. And you're talking about losing finals? Anybody can lose a final and anybody can win a final. Roberto Di Matteo won the final. So does that make him a great manager? Is he working right now anywhere? Yeah. What are you talking about? Losing finals. It's about getting to the final. Maybe you win it, maybe you lose it. Come on. It's more about luck than anything else. So try and win the league in 34 games in the Bundesliga. The title race versus Bayern, who are almost certain to win any game they play, and then do it again next season. And then you're talking about not winning and not having the mentality and the skill set to win leagues and win titles? What are you talking about? Try and do that.
No, it's very interesting. And when you said, Jurgen Klopp's old enemy or nemesis, I was half thinking that you were saying Nagelsmann's stylist. I had to just stop myself. I wonder what outfit he's going to be wearing. I mean, Themis, just quickly on the whole Bayern Munich thing. I mean, we're talking about them as a potential semi-final team that we're going to play. And you said they don't really get challenged in the league. Now, I'm sat there and I'm listening to you, and obviously, you know, your head just goes on a mad one. Obviously, we're looking at Liverpool right now, and it makes Jurgen Klopp's achievements at Liverpool also special as well, going up against that superpower in Man City and the Chelseas and them likes, and you know, trying to push them to the next level and push us to the next level. So I'm sat there thinking, well, Liverpool, you're hoping are gonna be fighting for this league all the way till the end, and then you've got a team like Bayern Munich that doesn't really have to try so hard in the league because they've got they can lose games, but they've still got a healthy advantage in the league. And I'm thinking, does that favour Bayern Munich or bite them in the backside? Because to me, it feels more like it bites them on the backside. Because I've seen teams like Paris Saint-Germain who kind of, it's like the sharpness and the alertness is gone. I mean, they lost 3-0 to Monaco over the weekend, and you're like, well, what impact does that have on the league? None whatsoever for them. None.
Yeah. Well, I have to agree with you. I mean, okay, maybe having to play every game with your maximum intensity sometimes takes a toll. Maybe you have players that are injured or your fatigue is increasing. Yeah, that could be a problem. But overall, I think the team that has to win every game and keep 100% focused in every game has the edge over a team that thinks that football has a switch and you can turn it on and then you can turn it off and then turn it on again. That's not how it works. From my experience, that's not how it works. The teams that progress and reach their maximum potential are the teams that never switch off. They're always
consistency over intensity, right?
Yes, and keeping everybody involved with rotation, keeping every player sharp and ready to provide when needed. I mean, I remember when we were fighting for the league 2019 and we have to win every game, hoping that City might slip just once in order for us to overtake them. Yeah. And I have friends of mine who are Liverpool supporters messaging me on Instagram or on Twitter saying, you know what, maybe with Barcelona waiting in the semi-final, we could, pick the league and try to focus there because we have a chance to win the league after 29 years and maybe forget about the Champions League because we reached the final last season. And I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? We're going to have to play every game like it's a final. And that's good. That's good because that's how you build your mentality. That's how you remain united and focused, extremely focused, not focused like, okay, come on, boys, we have a big game on the weekend, so let's train hard this week. No, that mentality is not something you switch off and on. That's very hard to find. And when you do find it, you never want to ease it off or switch it off for any reason. When you do find it, you have to become the team that no matter who's playing, even with heavy rotation, and Liverpool are doing that. We have played the cups with heavy rotation, but we never played the game with the mentality that we don't care if we lose that game. Never, ever, because that mentality is so hard to get in football. I mean, it was really hard for Liverpool to get that back during the course of this season because we had that disaster last season, and I remember you and I talking months ago, and we said, you know what, we're still trying to figure out how good Liverpool are going to be this season because we're not sure yet. We are maybe afraid that something horrible will happen again. Maybe we'll be afraid that, okay, we have improved since last season, but we are nowhere near the heights that we reached when we won the league. So we kind of waited to see how it's going to evolve during the season. And it goes brilliantly. I mean, we have we have a team that has convinced us that they can go all the way. I'm not sure they're going to do it, but they're capable of doing it, and that's amazing to watch. So when you have that, you don't switch it off. No, you go everything you had, and let Bayern Munich rest 11 players in the weekend. If they think that resting the whole team, I'm just saying as an example, resting a whole team before playing the away or the second leg of the semi-final is going to be good for them. Okay, let them have it. I don't care. Let them do it. Maybe if we had rested Mo or Keita, they wouldn't have been injured in Newcastle 3 days before we had to play Barcelona. But we did play them. We won the game with that Origi header, and we kept the pressure up on Manchester City. But we lost two players, and we didn't have them alongside Firmino, of course, in the return leg versus Barcelona.
Yeah.
We won the game anyway, but you know what? Maybe we wouldn't have won the game because Messi would score that free kick in the final minute of the stoppage time.
Yeah.
And there would be 4-1, and they would go through. Okay, and we would be devastated. I don't care, because the important thing is to give your all and be able to do it no matter who is playing. And that's what we have been trying to do in the past 2 months, with that heavy rotation, with Diaz coming in, with everybody getting back from the injuries. It's a delicate balance, but I think we are excellent in that.
No, we definitely are. It's great to see, the fact that we have so many options now. Themis, we've got to look at the other side of the draw, and it looks like the tougher end, let's be honest. So Real Madrid, Chelsea. I want to get your thoughts on this. What does this potentially mean? Chelsea, their travels, everything. Of course, Real Madrid absolutely humbled PSG and then got humbled themselves by Barcelona last night in the Clasico. And of course, we like the mess that is Chelsea right now. Talk to me about that one. What do you think?
Well, it's a chance for Real Madrid to get their revenge because they were knocked out last season when Chelsea became the European champions. But maybe Chelsea are still better than them. And I watched the Clasico last night, and credit to Xavi with what he has done in Barcelona since he became their manager, and he returned as the Messiah to save them from that mess, and he still has a long way to go. But I looked at some stats this morning, and Barcelona in that game had 7 sequences with more of 20 passes uninterrupted. 7 sequences with 20 or more consecutive passes without Real Madrid touching the ball. And you know what? I don't think any other team in the quarterfinal allows the opponent to do that much as Real Madrid do. Credit to them for doing what they did to PSG, and we were happy about that. Watching PSG fail, it's one of the biggest joys right now in football. That's the way I see it, at least. So we're happy that they went for it, and their gamble paid off, and they had an amazing night with Benzema, with that historic hat-trick, and Modric showing he's world class even at that age. But maybe the problems Chelsea have outside the pitch can create that siege mentality we were talking about in the last pod.
Yeah.
And Tuchel seems to be managing the situation really well.
He's been conducting himself with so much class, by the way. Credit where it's due.
Yes, absolutely. And no matter what you and I think about the whole situation with Chelsea and how hypocritical the English football is when he's now banning Roman Abramovich while allowing people from Saudi Arabia to buy Newcastle, and now they are ready to bid for Chelsea. Come on. But
replacing one devil with another, but
yes,
okay,
yes, and what Jurgen said in that press conference, I mean, what a guy. When he said, did anybody care when he bought Chelsea? Did you care when he bought Chelsea? You care now, I can tell from your question. But did you care when that started, when that happened? Or you were celebrating Chelsea and their defensive record and Jose Mourinho and all that stuff, ignoring the fact that they became the absolute powerhouse with financial doping? Did you care then? Did you care when Jose Mourinho was calling Arsene Wenger the professor of failure? Did you care there? Because he was mocking Wenger.
Yeah.
Because he had less money. That was the point. That was the point. I mean, Chelsea were the invincibles, and they have Arsenal. I'm sorry, were the invincibles, and they have finished second in the first league title won by Chelsea. And since then, they have been nowhere near the top, and they only finished second just once, behind Leicester. So why is that? They had the problems, yeah. They had somehow a decline, yeah. But they were pushed over by all that money. First by Chelsea, and then by City.
Yeah.
So do we care about that? Or we only care when there is a war going on? Do we care about the football part of that story? I mean, did you see that Deloitte list? Manchester City has the biggest revenue in the world. Did you know that?
Laughable.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to talk about that ever? Or we only talk about Kevin De Bruyne, fabulous footballer, Pep Guardiola, tactical genius, and all the stuff? Yeah, we do talk about that all the time. But maybe once or twice in a season, we have to find the time to talk about the other stuff too. Because, I mean, let's face it. I know that many people, hate Liverpool or dislike Liverpool because they are Man United fans, because they are Chelsea fans, or whatever. Okay, it's part of the game. But I would like to see them and hear their thoughts if City walked the league 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
What would they have to say about their beloved Premier League that they watch week in, week out, all their lives? Because I know in Greece, especially, people love the Premier League. People watch that league more than anything else. And what would they say if City became the Bayern Munich of the Premier League, winning the league no matter what? Resting players in order to play a European semi-final because they are 12 points ahead, 20 points ahead, 30 points ahead. I don't care. What would they say? I mean, it's easy to say I don't like Liverpool and stuff like that, but Liverpool are giving you a title race, are giving you a serious opponent to what Manchester City are doing in that league with financial doping.
Yep. And you know what? We found it boring when Man United were walking the league under Fergie, in the 90s. It was horrible to watch. And I wasn't that much into football then, but it was just like, oh, the season that started, United will be champions. And that was the feel, and that was the mood constantly. And it wasn't cool. And I'm not just saying it because it's Man United, but I can imagine like Bundesliga fans just, oh yeah, starting the season, Bayern Munich will be champions. And it must be a horrible feeling. I like the fact that, Liverpool are pushing these to the edge, and they should be, and which makes Jurgen Klopp's achievements even better, considering, oh yeah, we spend money. I'm not saying we're on pennies. We're not. We spend money. We're not naive to that, but look what we're dealing with. And there are no consequences for, how they are run as football organisations. And I'm glad Jurgen Klopp said what he said. And obviously he is a man of integrity and principles, and, long may it continue. And I'm glad he's our manager. Themis. So between these two, if you had to pick a winner, it might be a bit hard because, like you said, it with Chelsea, I definitely think they're probably a better all-round squad. But it just depends on the external factors.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to ask you, I mean, if you had to pick a winner on paper, who would it be?
I have to pick Chelsea again. I have to pick Chelsea again as long as they don't start Lukaku in any of the games. Yeah, I mean, come on. 80 million pounds for the striker you don't need when you have all that amazing talent and all that fluidity in your offense. And you're giving Abraham to Roma. Why? Why?
Yeah.
He's not prolific enough. He's not young enough. He's not English. Why don't you keep that amazing talent and make him the great striker he can become? And you choose to transfer him to Roma and spend 80 million pounds to get Lukaku. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, anyway. I mean,
more money than sense, but we won't go there.
Yeah, we are so lucky with what is going on in Liverpool for the past 6 or 7 seasons. So lucky to have a team working that amazingly in every aspect of the game. So lucky. We don't throw our money around. I mean, it's amazing to watch and have the privilege to watch other teams spend money and say, you know what? I'm not envy. I'm not envy because what you're doing is wrong. And I don't care. I don't care if you got Lukaku back. That is a wrong move. You got Ronaldo back? Yeah. That is a wrong move. And we're doing the right move.
Yeah.
It's a privilege. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Right, Themis. Let's move on to the last one just really quickly. Manchester City, people can always bank on Man City having it easy, but they are playing Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone. We know he's somewhat of a little bit of a professional in the Champions League. He's made a couple of finals, so and so. I was actually really, really worried about Man City round about, I'm going to say January time, because they look like this, they're pretty much running away with the league.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know what? This is them now just going to go absolutely full pelters in the Champions League. And, this could potentially be scary, but we are hot on the heels. And of course, they're playing Atletico Madrid, who, I'll be honest with you, are not a comfortable. I know we beat them in the group stages, but I don't like them. In terms of how they play, I think they are, I think you once spoke about a kryptonite, and I find out that their specific kind of football can potentially be a kryptonite for us if we're not on it. So I want to get your thoughts in terms of this fixture and how you kind of see it going.
Well, Guardiola versus Simeone gave us one of the best football games in the Champions League I have ever watched. That return leg when Atletico won the first semi-final in Madrid, 1-0, and then they played the away game in Munich, and Guardiola said in his press conference before the game to the press, talking to the press, and he said, "You think you have killed me, but I have one last bullet left before the game." And Bayern Munich that night absolutely trashed Atletico Madrid, but somehow, some way, Atletico managed to get through in order to reach the second Champions League final with Simeone. There is a rematch in that sense. Well, I'm thinking that Atletico Madrid they are still doing what they are, what in the football they believe in.
Yes.
They're still doing that. They're not as good as they have been in the past.
Agreed.
I mean, watching them knock out Manchester United, I would expect them to be a lot more attacking and a lot more threatening while defending behind the ball, because that's what they used to do. They defended well, but they could kill you with counterattacks and quick transitions, and they are no longer that side. I mean, I expected them to knock out Manchester United because United are a mess right now. But I was watching the game and I said, fair play to you. You are better than United, but I don't think you're good enough to really progress to the semi-final or the final this season. Well, they have a tendency to surprise us. I have to say that. And I'm not ruling anything out, but they have to be lucky. They have to be lucky to do it again versus Guardiola. And they have to score first, because City, when they score first, they win. I mean, they haven't dropped a single point this season from a winning position. Not a single point. But if you score first, if they concede first, well, then they start to doubt themselves, then they're not used to feeling uncomfortable during a game, and that may hurt them, because in ties like that, the smallest details can make the biggest difference. We have to wait and see. Right now, I'm thinking City are the favorites, because I don't think Atletico are in the level they were when they reached the Champions League finals in the past. Right now, I think they are beyond that level. But they can surprise us. I give them credit for that. They can do it. They are the master of the dark arts.
Yeah, they are. And another thing as well, I mean, Pep Guardiola, as a greater coach as he is, I feel like sometimes he overthinks things.
Yeah.
When I think about that Champions League final, his team selection.
Yeah.
And, he can do things. I don't know if he will. And also I feel like things stay with him. I don't know him personally, obviously, but I feel like things stay with him. Like, I feel like he definitely has some kind of issue with Jurgen Klopp, or an unhealthy obsession, shall we say, or some kind of, I do think that Liverpool do kind of live rent-free in his head, and I don't know if, like, that whole thing about Diego Simeone and, of course, Atleti knocking out his Bayern Munich side out, maybe that, he might, I don't know, he might overthink something.
There is that one famous story about Guardiola, and I think that's all you need to know about him. In his first season at Real Madrid, they played in his first season in Bayern. They played Real Madrid in the semi-final, and they lost the first game in Madrid 1-0. And while they were returning with the plane back to Munich, he was talking with his assistant manager, and he decided on the game plan for the second leg. The same night that they were traveling back to Germany. And he said, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to set up like this, and we're going to do that. And they were talking for hours, and they agreed, even if it was in 6 days, that right now we're going to decide if this is what we're going to do. And when they finished talking, he turned to his assistant, Domenech Torrent, the French one, and he famously said, Domenech, don't let me change my mind until the game comes.
Wow.
And that quote tells me everything I need to know about the guy, because he's a tactical genius. He has 1,000 solutions to every aspect of the game, but that knowledge and that resource of football knowledge that he can use anytime in any game makes it even more complex to him to decide on what he's going to do, because he has another idea, and then he has another idea, and then he has another idea, and they all look great, and he has the team, because he's a great manager, he has a team that can implement any idea. He trusts his players that he can do anything he asks them to do it, because they are trained to do so. So that quote, don't let me change my mind, says everything, because he knows that he's the kind of man, even though he decided that this is my plan, he might change his mind in 2 days' time, or in 3 days' time. And he did, and they were thrust 4-0 in the second leg. And he famously said that this is the biggest defeat of my career because I'm all to blame. Not the players, nobody else. I made a mess. I made a mess. And you never know. You never know with him. That's the problem. That's his genius, but also
his downfall.
Problem. Yes, his downfall when it comes to big games, and he has all the thoughts, hours after hours after hours, talking about what we're going to do, questioning even himself. That leads to trouble.
It really does. I mean, I'm with you. If we're just going off just straight up pedigree, I think Man City will have enough to overcome Atletico Madrid here. But like you said, we've kind of discussed Pep Guardiola and, what could he potentially do, and also have nasty and dirty Atleti turn out to be as well. That's another factor as well. Themis.
Anyway, I would like to see them go through and not have it easy in the league. I would like, I would like to go through.
I like it. Themis is playing a tactical game. You're not the only one here, Pep Guardiola.
Yeah,
I like it.
Chelsea City semi-final would be good for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, let them play 2 games. Let them fight. It will be amazing for English football and everybody involved.
I like it. Famous last words by Themis Kasaris. Themis, we've come to the end of the pod. We said it'd be half an hour, but we get talking because that's what we do. Before I let you go, any final thoughts, anything before we close it off?
Well, just one thought in my head while we come to the international break and we have a heavily packed month waiting the Reds. Stay safe and healthy, and you can do anything. Just that. That's my only hope. That's my only thought. For everybody to be healthy and available, and I will be happy to go on that journey with that team.
And what a lovely note to end the pod on. Themis, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed our little thoughts, and let us know your thoughts, predictions, how you feeling, how do you feel about the draw. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to interact with us. And if you do want to interact with us, Themis, where can people find you on social media? Yeah,
I'm on Twitter. I live there. My handle is my last name, KEWSARIS. I mainly tweet in Greek, but I can answer in English on everything you might want to talk about Liverpool, about English, the Premier League or the Champions League or the Greek football. If you have any weirdos out there who want to know about Greek football, feel free to ask me anything.
Wonderful stuff. Yep, do give Themis a follow. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I will be back in a few days looking closely at Benfica with our incredible, awesome guy that is Marco Lopez. You've given us a few questions on Discord. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them as well. Guys, just echo what Themis said there, enjoy the ride and take care. Until next time, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.